Over the last few weeks, I've had my fair share of criticism for the movies of The Lord of the Rings because I am reading the Lord of the Rings book for the first time in my entire life, and I'm finding how incredible it is and just how the movies seem to get a few things wrong. Maybe that's to say the least. Although I will say right now, two things. I still think the movies are the greatest movies ever made. I think they are incredible movies, and maybe in a video down the line, I'll talk about the idea of my take on the adaptation and whether I think the adaptation is good or not, and just what I think of the movies in general. But one thing that I want to praise the movies for, which is my second point, is that the movies, I think, get the spiritual element of the books pretty well. There's a few scenes in the movies that I think really nail this. One of the most prominent is the scene on top of Weathertop. The scene on top of Weathertop. When Frodo gets stabbed by the Nazgul. He actually puts the ring on for a bit, and he sees these ring wraiths in their true spiritual form. Now, it's a great little section that Frodo is almost transported to this spiritual realm, and he can see these Nazgul as they really are, these old kings. It's a really, really interesting section. Now, there's a few other subtle things that the movies do with the spiritual realm. Namely, there's one with Gandalf when he's fighting the Balrog, and he fights them probably in this physical place, but the entire dream that he's describing seems like he's being transported back to the spiritual realm, and then he gets sent back to the physical realm. And there's another really under-the-radar moment, too, which drives fans mad because it's not Arwen who does this, but when Arwen comes and rescues Frodo and his whole entire crew and brings them to Rivendell, there's a section that when Arwen jumps off of her horse, she's glowing when she walks to Frodo. Now, in the books, if you've read the books, you know that that is actually Glorfindel, and Glorfindel apparently, I don't know this for sure because I still haven't read the appendices and I'm still kind of not fully finished with the book, but Glorfindel kind of got sent back from the spiritual realm to the physical realm in order to aid and assist, I believe, I might be wrong about this, in order to aid and assist the journey of the ring. And so when Arwen jumps off of her horse and she's glowing, that's the same thing that Frodo experiences when he's about to faint when he passes the ford. He sees the Nazgul kind of as their true form, but then he sees a figure in the background, which is Glorfindel, glowing like the Nazgul. So I think the movies do a really good job of depicting the spiritual reality of Middle-earth and of the books, but there's a little bit more depth to the books than there is to the movies. But again, I think I'll keep harping on this, but I think they're not harping. I'll keep praising them because I think the movies actually do a really good job of depicting the spiritual realm. But there's one section when Aragorn is in the Houses of Healing. This is a very spiritual chapter, and it makes me rethink a lot of the book in spiritual terms, and I'm really excited to reread it once I finish with my first read. I'm going to go through The Hobbit, and then I'm going to go through some of the Silmarillion, and then some of the Unfinished Tales and everything else, and then I'll probably do a little reread of The Lord of the Rings after I finish all that. So, subscribe to the channel. But there's one element in the Houses of Healing chapter, because I'm excited to reread the book through this spiritual lens, where it seems like there's a deeper spiritual reality going on. For two reasons. The first is that the Black Shadow, or the Black Breath, is the thing that kills these people, or is killing these people. And this idea is like despair being closed in around you and kind of choking you out. It's a malady that is caused by the aura of the Nazgul. And this is almost like personified spiritual battles. And it's interesting that these people are almost in a different realm, and they're kind of fading out of the physical and moving toward the spiritual, and that's how they almost die, to some extent. And there's a really interesting paragraph where Faramir heals them that I thought was so cool. And I know yesterday's essay was maybe just about me overly critiquing Aragorn. I still think Aragorn is one of the coolest characters in the book, but I like to kind of nitpick certain things in this book. So I want to praise Aragorn for this because I think this chapter he's almost perfect in. And a lot of you in the comments yesterday were helping correct my understanding of that, which I really appreciate because now I'm starting to see Aragorn in a different way even in this chapter. I thought he was brilliant except for maybe one or two moments in a conversation that he had with Gandalf and Éomer about Éowyn. And now I'm seeing those as a little bit different. Although I still kind of hold some of my same opinions or some of my same readings, I still think it's a bit different in that section for what I came up with yesterday in the essay. But this is the section when he's about to heal. He's about to heal Faramir, and it says this: "Now Aragorn knelt beside Faramir, and held a hand upon his brow. And those that watched felt that some great struggle was going on. For Aragorn's face grew gray with weariness, and ever and anon he called the name of Faramir, but each time more faintly to their hearing, as if Aragorn himself was removed from them, and walked afar in some dark vale, calling for one that was lost." I think this is a really interesting way to depict the spiritual battles that are going on. And I think this is happening all over the place in The Lord of the Rings. And I don't think it's something that we see all the time, but I think it's something that's really underwritten in the work of J.R.R. Tolkien, because he doesn't really add anything extra to that. He essentially says the people that were looking on, it almost looked like Aragorn was in this different realm, calling out the name of Faramir, almost searching for him in this different realm. And I've talked about this whole past week about how that almost seems like a comparison to the movie Soul, when they're in the zone. I think it's something like, I forgot exactly what it's called, but when Moonwind is looking for lost souls in that realm. And it seems similar to that, and that Aragorn almost is in this spiritual realm right now in Middle-earth, looking for these souls that seem to be lost and calling them back to the physical world. And I talked about that as well with the idea of how scent brings them back into the physical world with the Ethelis and the Kingsfoil, and how important that was for, in the real world, how smell sometimes brings us back and gives us nostalgia more than any other scent. And I think I just want to show, or I'm just trying to say in this video, how impressed I am with Tolkien's spiritual writing here. And I'm actually really curious and excited to reread it through this more spiritual realm idea. Because most of the time it's kind of passed over my head, because I am a very, physical, tangible, non-abstract thinker. So sometimes when they are translated or transitioned off into the physical realm, it loses me. But Tolkien is really underwritten, and he performs this he writes this soft magic system that doesn't necessarily seem like, it doesn't delve that far into it, but it acknowledges it, which I really love and respect. I think it's a great aspect of his writing. And again, I'm really excited to keep reading. So I just kind of wanted to say that, and then praise Aragorn for even healing these people. I know yesterday's video was maybe a little controversial with my take of Aragorn, and I just wanted to, make a video quickly just to heap my praises on him. So if you like this video, make sure you subscribe. You can also become a member for more members only content and some early access to videos. And as always, remember to look toward Numenor that was, and beyond to Elvenhome that is, and to that which is beyond Elvenhome and will ever be. I'll see you in the next one.